The helicopter had been circling the city for 3 days straight. Victoria Sterling was desperate. Her son Gabriel, only 8 years old, had disappeared during a school field trip to the nature reserve. The police, the fire department, everyone had given up. But she couldn't give up. Never. From the rooftop of her luxury Manhattan penthouse, Victoria watched the movement below through binoculars. Her billion-dollar fortune was useless now. All the money in the world couldn't buy back her only son. Tears streamed down her makeup-free face. For the first time in years, Victoria Sterling was completely vulnerable. 3 blocks away, Michael Santos finished pruning the roses in the Anderson family garden. His calloused hands worked with precision and gentleness. At 42 years old, Michael knew every plant, every tree, every green corner of New York City like no one else. He had grown up on the streets, slept in Central Park, survived eating fruits from the trees he now cared for with such tenderness. Michael kept a secret that not even his wife Maria knew. During his years living on the streets, he had developed an almost supernatural ability. He could read the signs of nature like a living map. The flight of birds, the movement of leaves, the almost imperceptible tracks on the ground. It was as if the forest spoke to him in a secret language that only he understood. Mrs. Dorothy, the elderly employer, came out on the porch with a glass of iced lemonade. She always treated Michael with kindness and respect. She was one of the few wealthy people he knew who still had compassion for the less fortunate. "Michael, dear, did you see the news about the missing boy?" Dorothy asked, worried. "Yes, ma'am. What a tragedy. The mother must be suffering so much. She's the daughter of a very powerful businessman. They say she's offering a fortune to whoever brings the boy back." Michael nodded silently. He knew that nature reserve well where the boy had gotten lost. He had spent many nights there during his difficult youth. He knew every hidden trail, every cave, every natural shelter. If anyone could find that child, it would be him. But who would believe a poor gardener? That same afternoon, Victoria Sterling decided to take drastic action. She would personally go to every neighborhood in the city offering the reward. She needed to do something, anything. The waiting was killing her inside. Her personal driver, James, drove the limousine through the city's modest streets. Victoria had never set foot in those places. The contrast between her life of luxury and the reality of ordinary people was shocking. But she wasn't there to do social tourism. She was there to find her son. The limousine stopped in front of the Santos family's simple house in Queens. Victoria got out wearing her designer clothes, her expensive jewelry, completely out of place in that humble environment. Some neighbors approached curiously. It was as if an alien had landed in that working-class neighborhood. Michael was watering the plants in his small garden when he saw the commotion. He approached respectfully, hat in hand. Victoria looked him up and down with visible disgust. She saw only a man dirty with soil, with simple clothes and calloused hands. "Do you people know anything about my missing son?" Victoria asked in an authoritative tone. Michael stepped forward. His heart raced. This was his chance to help. "Ma'am, I know that reserve very well. I spent years living there. If you'd allow me, I could." "You." Victoria interrupted him with a cruel laugh. "A filthy gardener who can barely read is going to find my son when the police couldn't." The neighbors fell silent. Michael felt his face burn with shame, but didn't lower his eyes. "Ma'am, I know I don't look like much, but I really know." "Shut up." Victoria screamed, furious. "You think I'm going to trust my son's future to a nobody like you? Look at yourself. Look at me. We don't even live in the same world." Victoria was losing control. The pain of loss, the desperation, everything was coming out as rage directed at the humble man who only wanted to help. "People like you only exist to clean up other people's mess. You could never understand the suffering of a real mother, of a real family." Michael felt every word like a stab. But it wasn't for himself that he suffered. It was for that lost boy, who might be cold, hungry, scared. It was for his own daughter Anna, 7 years old, who could be in that boy's place. "Please, ma'am," Michael insisted with a choked voice. "I just want to help find your boy. I'm not asking for money. Just a chance." "A chance." Victoria was hysterical now. "I don't give chances to people like you. You poor people are all the same. You think you can take advantage of other people's misfortune. At that moment, a figure emerged from a discreet car parked on the corner. It was Dr. Robert Mitchell, a famous criminal psychologist who had been hired by Victoria herself to help with the search. He had witnessed the entire scene. Dr. Mitchell was a cold, calculating man who had lost faith in humanity after years dealing with the worst crimes. For him, all people were driven only by self-interest. Genuine kindness was just a childish fantasy. But something about that scene bothered him. The sincerity in the gardener's voice. The real pain in his eyes. It didn't seem like financial interest. It seemed like true compassion. Victoria continued her verbal attack. People like you are the scum of society. Nothing but parasites living off other people's scraps. Michael finally lost his patience. Not for himself, but for all the humble people who were treated like this every day. You're right about one thing, ma'am, Michael said, raising his head with dignity. We don't live in the same world. In my world, when a child is lost, it doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. What matters is that it's a child. In my world, we help each other without expecting anything in return. Victoria was momentarily speechless. And you know what the difference is between us? Michael continued. You have all the money in the world, but you don't have what it takes to find your son. I don't have money, but I have something money can't buy. I know that forest like my own home. Dr. Mitchell approached, interested. There was something different about this man. Continue, said the psychologist. Doctor, I know exactly where that boy might be. I know 3 places in the reserve where children usually hide when they get lost. They're places that only someone who lived in the forest would know. Victoria laughed with contempt. Fantasies of a lunatic. But Dr. Mitchell was intrigued. In his years of experience, he had learned to recognize when someone was lying. And that gardener wasn't. What places are those? Mitchell asked. Michael began to describe with impressive detail. There's a cave behind the small waterfall, about 2 miles from the main trail. Children like to hide there because it's dry and protected. There's also a natural shelter formed by large rocks, near the stream that runs south. And the 3rd place is an abandoned treehouse, built decades ago by other kids. The precision of the information was impressive. Dr. Mitchell knew those details weren't in any official report. Folks, if you're enjoying this incredible story of overcoming injustice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Let's discover together how this story will end. Victoria, however, remained inflexible. I'm not going to waste more time listening to the fantasies of some poor fool. But Dr. Mitchell had made a decision. Something about that simple man had touched a part of his soul he thought was dead. I'm going with him, declared the psychologist. What do you mean? Victoria exploded. Mrs. Sterling, I know people. This man isn't lying. And right now, he might be our only real hope. Michael felt a wave of gratitude. Finally, someone believed in him. Doctor, I promise I'll give my life to find this boy. I have a daughter the same age. I know what this mother is feeling. Victoria was furious at the comparison. Don't you dare compare your little nobody with my son. Gabriel studies at the best schools, has the best teachers, is worth more than. Worth more than what? Michael interrupted, his eyes shining with held-back tears. One child is worth more than another because of money? In a mother's heart, Dr. Mitchell, there's no rich child or poor child. There's only love. Dr. Mitchell felt something strange happen in his chest. He hadn't felt that sensation in years. It was as if a locked door inside him was being forced open. The argument was interrupted by Victoria's cell phone ringing. It was the police with devastating news. They had found the child's footprints moving even further from the original search area. Gabriel was walking in the opposite direction, going deeper into the wilder parts of the reserve. He's heading to the most dangerous part of the forest, said the sheriff over the phone. If we don't find him in the next few hours, his chances of survival drop dramatically. Victoria collapsed. For the first time, her mask of coldness and arrogance fell completely. She was just a desperate mother, lost and afraid. Michael approached slowly. Ma'am, I know exactly where he's going. I know this route. Lost children always follow the sound of water. There's a stream that leads to an area with natural caves. If he followed this path, I know where to find him. Dr. Mitchell looked into Michael's eyes and saw only truth and determination. Victoria, the psychologist said softly, this man might be the answer to our prayers. Prayers. Victoria laughed bitterly. I haven't prayed in years, Robert. God abandoned my family when my husband died in that accident. Michael moved even closer. Ma'am, God didn't abandon anyone. Sometimes he sends help through the people we least expect. There was something in Michael's voice that touched deep into Victoria's heart. It was a voice that carried its own pain, but also unshakable hope. Why do you want to help? Victoria asked, finally looking at Michael as a human being. Why do you care so much about my son? Michael took a deep breath. Because 15 years ago, I was also a lost child in that forest. I was 12 when I ran away from home. I spent 3 days lost, hungry and scared. It was an angel disguised as a simple person who found me and saved me. He didn't know me, didn't owe me anything. But he saved me anyway. Tears began to roll down Victoria's face. Since then, I promised that if someday a child needed my help in that forest, I would give my life for them. Rich or poor, it doesn't matter. A child is a child. Dr. Mitchell was visibly moved. His cynical view of the world was being shaken by the sincerity of that simple man. Victoria finally gave in. All right. Let's try. But if we're wasting time. We're not, Michael interrupted with conviction. We're going to find Gabriel. I promise. The small rescue team left immediately. Michael led the way with the confidence of someone who knew every stone, every tree. Dr. Mitchell watched fascinated as the gardener read the signs of nature like an open book. Look here, Michael pointed to almost imperceptible marks on the ground. Small footprints. He passed through here a few hours ago. And see this branch broken at a child's height. He's following the trail I imagined. As they went deeper into the forest, Victoria began to realize she was completely out of her element. Her expensive clothes tore on thorns, her designer shoes sank in the mud. But for the first time in years, she didn't care about appearances. Michael noticed her difficulties and gently offered help. Allow me, ma'am. He helped her over a fallen log, held her when she slipped on a wet rock. Thank you, Victoria murmured, surprised by the genuine kindness. After 2 hours of walking, they reached the first location Michael had mentioned, the cave behind the waterfall. It was exactly as he had described. Gabriel! Victoria shouted, running to the cave entrance. But it was empty. Frustration and despair returned to Victoria's face. He's not here. We wasted time. Michael remained calm. Don't lose heart. We still have 2 places to check. And look at this. He pointed to fresh footprints leaving the cave. He was here. He probably rested and then continued walking. Dr. Mitchell was impressed with Michael's ability to read the signs. It was almost like magic. They followed the footprints that led to the second location, the natural rock shelter. As they approached, Michael signaled for them to remain silent. Listen, he whispered. In the forest silence, they heard a faint sound. It was a child crying. Gabriel! Victoria shouted, running toward the sound. Behind the large rocks, they found a blond boy, dirty and scared, but alive. Gabriel was curled up, shivering from cold and fear. Mommy! The boy shouted, running into Victoria's arms. The reunion scene was emotional. Mother and son hugged as if the world were ending. Tears of joy and relief streamed down everyone's faces. Dr. Mitchell watched Michael, who was crying silently with emotion. There wasn't a trace of self-interest in those tears. It was pure joy at seeing a family reunited. If you're getting as emotional as I am with this reunion, hit that like button to show that stories of kindness and justice still touch our hearts. But Gabriel was dehydrated and needed urgent medical care. Michael knew exactly how to get out of the forest by the fastest route. During the journey back, Gabriel held Michael's hand. Thank you, Uncle Michael, the boy said with childhood innocence. Victoria watched the interaction and felt a profound transformation happening inside her. For the first time, she saw Michael as he really was, a good, generous man who had risked everything to save her son. When they finally reached the city, Victoria insisted that Michael go to the hospital with them. She wanted him to receive all the credit for saving Gabriel. At the hospital, while Gabriel received medical attention, Victoria called Michael for a private conversation. "Michael, I don't know how to apologize for what I did. For what I said." Michael smiled kindly. "Ma'am, pain makes people say things they don't truly mean. I understand." "No, you don't understand." Victoria was crying. "I said horrible things. I treated you like garbage. And you saved my son anyway." Dr. Mitchell approached. "Michael, can I ask you a question? Why didn't you give up when she humiliated you like that?" Michael thought for a moment. "Doctor, when you have a heart that has known real pain, you learn that other people's anger is usually just disguised pain. She wasn't angry at me. She was afraid of losing her son." The depth of the response left Dr. Mitchell speechless. That simple man had a wisdom that he, with all his formal education, had never achieved. Victoria couldn't stop crying. "How can you be so kind after everything I put you through?" "Because I learned something in life, ma'am. Kindness doesn't depend on how others treat us. It depends on who we choose to be." Dr. Mitchell felt as if a light had turned on inside his cynical soul. For the first time in years, he believed that genuinely good people still existed in the world. Victoria made a decision that would change everything. "Michael, I want to compensate you for what I did. I want to offer you—" "Ma'am," Michael interrupted gently, "I didn't do this for money. I did it because it was the right thing to do." "But I insist. You saved my son. You have to accept the reward." Michael smiled. "If you really want to give me something, there's one thing I'd like to ask for." "Anything." "There's a school in my neighborhood that's about to close due to lack of resources. Many poor children will be left without education. If you could—" Victoria was speechless. Even in that moment of possible personal gain, Michael was thinking of others. "Of course. I'll save the school. And more, I'll create a scholarship program for the most needy children." Dr. Mitchell intervened. "Victoria, can I suggest something? Michael, you have an incredible ability to read people and situations. Have you ever thought about working with us? I'm sure you'd be an exceptional investigator." Michael was surprised. "Doctor, I barely finished elementary school." "True intelligence doesn't come only from books, Michael. You have something that can't be learned in university: life wisdom and genuine compassion." Victoria enthusiastically supported the idea. "Michael, I'll pay for your studies. You can finish high school, go to college, whatever you want." Michael was moved, but worried. "I don't know if I deserve all this." "Deserve?" Victoria almost shouted. "Michael, you deserve much more than I can offer. You gave me back my son. You gave me back my faith in humanity." Dr. Mitchell added, "Michael, people like you are rare. The world needs more men like you. Accept our offer. You can help many other families." 3 months later, Michael was working as a special consultant for missing persons cases. His unique ability to read nature and understand human behavior had helped solve dozens of cases. Victoria kept all her promises. The school in Michael's neighborhood was not only saved but became one of the best in the region. Hundreds of underprivileged children received scholarships. More important than everything, Victoria had completely transformed. She discovered the joy of helping others and became one of the country's greatest philanthropists. Dr. Mitchell also changed. He recovered his faith in human goodness and began working with a renewed purpose. He and Michael formed an incredible duo, combining academic knowledge with life wisdom. People, if this story touched you as much as it touched me, leave in the comments your own experiences about how kindness can transform lives. Let's spread this positive energy. Gabriel grew up admiring Michael as a hero. During school vacations, he liked to visit Uncle Michael and learn about nature. The experience of being saved by someone so humble taught the boy values that no expensive school could teach. The friendship between Victoria and Michael became legendary in the city. She learned that true wealth isn't in the bank, but in genuine relationships and the ability to make a difference in others' lives. Michael never forgot his origins. Even with his new life, he continued living in the same simple neighborhood, taking care of the same garden, keeping his feet on the ground and his heart open. He created a foundation to teach other people to read the signs of nature. Many former street dwellers were trained and now work as guides in rescue operations. Mrs. Dorothy, the employer who always treated him well, became the foundation's godmother. "I always knew Michael was special," she said proudly. The story of Michael and Victoria spread through the media. Books were written, documentaries were produced. But the most important thing was the message that remained: never judge a person by their appearance or social condition. Everyone has something valuable to offer. Dr. Mitchell wrote in his final report, "This case taught me that true emotional intelligence isn't learned in college." Michael Santos possesses a wisdom that comes from life experience, genuine compassion, and the ability to see the best in people, even when they show us their worst. Victoria made sure the story was told in schools. She wanted children to learn from an early age that a person's value isn't measured by what they have, but by who they are. Michael continued being the same humble person he'd always been. When asked if he wasn't proud of all the fame, he replied, "Pride kills humility. And it was humility that allowed me to help that boy. I prefer to continue being who I've always been." Years later, when Gabriel graduated from medical school, he made sure Michael was present at the ceremony. In his speech, he said, "Everything I am today I owe to a simple man who taught me that a person's value isn't in their bank account, but in their heart." Victoria's transformation was even more impressive. From a cold and arrogant woman, she became an example of generosity and humility. She used to say, "Michael didn't just save my son. He saved my soul." The foundation created by Michael saved hundreds of lives. Missing people were found thanks to the methods he developed. His story proved that sometimes heroes come in the simplest packages. Dr. Mitchell was never the same. He recovered his passion for work and life. "Michael reminded me why I chose this profession," he said. "To help people, not just to make money." The friendship between the three became legendary. Victoria, Michael, and Robert formed an unlikely but powerful trio, united by the experience that changed their lives forever. Michael never took credit just for himself. He always said, "God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. I was just the instrument." The story teaches a powerful lesson: never underestimate the power of genuine kindness. A simple act of compassion can change lives, transform hearts, and create waves of love that spread throughout the world. Victoria learned that true class doesn't come from money, but from character. Michael taught that dignity doesn't depend on what you have, but on what you do for others. Dr. Mitchell discovered that the deepest wisdom often comes from those whom life taught through experience, not through books. And Gabriel grew up knowing that the world still has true heroes, people who risk everything to help a stranger simply because it's the right thing to do. People, what an incredible story, right? If you also believe there are still good people in the world, share your own stories of kindness in the comments. Let's prove together that love always conquers prejudice. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that restore our faith in humanity.